In this video, we're gonna be taking a look at the Tortuga Setout Divide. I'm Tom, the founder of Pack Hacker, and we love to help people optimize their travel experience with guides and reviews just like this one. So if you're new here, consider subscribing to the channel. And remember, at any time during this review, you can head over to packhacker.com and follow along with our written review if you'd like to see that as well. So let's jump right into the Tortuga Setout Divide, the backpack that the Homebase should have been. The Homebase was released about a year ago from Tortuga, and we think they've really learned a lot and upped their game a lot when it comes to the smaller version of the larger Setout backpack. Let's jump right in. The outside of this pack is covered with a 900D polyester across all sides of it. And we've been testing the larger Setout for about 3 months of rigorous testing. Wanted to make sure we gave that a good test. This is basically the same material, just a little bit smaller. And overall, the material's held up well. We have two very minor aesthetic blemishes that have shown up on the larger pack. However, with that heathered coloring, it's gonna be a little bit harder for small scuffs and dirt to show up on any part of this pack. In comparison with the 45 liter Setout, the larger version, this 26 to 34 liter pack looks a lot tighter. And they've definitely just cleaned up and tightened the design. It feels a little bit better in a lot of areas. There's not a lot of like extra bulk going on. So when we had the Tortuga Setout fully packed, the larger version, you could see that the sides were looking a little bit odd. So on this one, they've tightened it up, and there's just less ability for that to happen with this pack, providing a cleaner and slicker look, even when it's full of travel gear. Overall, there is a ton of branding on this thing, but it's done decently well. So you have the most obvious Tortuga shell logo here. We like that it's black on that gray, it's subtle, it's minimal, and then you have a ton of different logos across this pack. So on the zipper pulls, on the straps, on a lot of the hardware, on the interior, there's just a ton of Tortuga logos going on. But it's kind of like done very minimally and in a very tasteful way to where it's like, okay, this is Tortuga, but it's not like screaming at you. So I personally like those little touches and how they got creative with kind of placing their logo around the entirety of this pack. Your mileage may vary, but it's not super obvious and it's only there if you look really close. Of course, aesthetics are always in the eyes of the beholder. That's why we like to put a poll on Instagram before to see what everybody thinks. So if you want to get involved with that next time, be sure to go and follow @PackHacker on Instagram. We're doing polls there all the time. And to wrap this thing up, we've got durable YKK zippers and Duraflex plastic throughout this pack that kind of ties it together. Now we wish that there was additional weather resistance on some of these zippers, but we'll get into those details in a little bit. Starting with the exterior of the pack, we've got two grab handles. So one on the top here and one on the side here as well. So they're nicely padded overall. One little thing to note is that a lot of companies will use thinner and high density foam on these. We think that's enough for just quick grabs and just, grabbing the bag and bringing it around. However, Tortuga actually uses some very padded stuff here. Kind of a bit of an overkill in our opinion, but definitely so comfortable to grab. Maybe they just could have shaved off like a couple ounces of the pack or something. Really minor detail and nitpick, and an otherwise pretty incredible set of exterior features. Additionally, there is a separate hanger loop on the top here, which is great because you can hold it flush against the wall. And one of the things that we noticed with this compared to the other Setout version is that it's stitched together here, providing some additional reinforcement. Also makes it a little bit easier to hang flush against the wall and it doesn't get all twisted up. So a nice little minor detail that kind of reinforces that Tortuga is always improving their packs with each new release. Also on the outside, there are two clips here for a messenger strap attachment. And we think that it actually works with a pack of this size, especially when it's in the fully compressed mode, which we'll get into in a second, kind of the differences there. However, these are also on the larger 45 liter Setout, and that just really feels like overkill. Like the fabric just isn't tight enough to provide a nice carry. And at 45 liters, we think that's just like too massive for a messenger style carry. So works really well on the Divide, the Setout Divide, however, not quite as well on the larger Setout version. So that's just something to note. If you like to carry a bag messenger style, gonna be better with this pack. Opposite of that side, Tortuga has a massive improvement to their water bottle compartment system. So it's basically an invisible water bottle pocket that unzips only when you want to use it. So that's really slick. We really love that. It expands big enough for a large swell bottle, which is a welcomed addition. And now onto the compression system and why this pack is called the Divide. We have some pretty standard compression buckles on each side here that smartly end right before the external organization pocket, so it doesn't obstruct that for quick access. The compression strap encompasses the entirety of the other zippers though, which is really great because on the Setout, the compression strap ends a little bit before and we had some durability issues with the zipper, not the case with the Divide. And one minor nitpick in detail, we have the Tortuga logo here on these compression buckles and no Tortuga logo here, so it's pretty sad that these have been left without that logo. And now the reason that it's called the Divide is that we have this compression zipper in the middle of the pack, which basically adds that additional 8 liters to the interior. And that's really what makes this pack awesome. You can use it in 34-liter mode when you're traveling. Whenever you get to your destination, your hotel, hostel, Airbnb, wherever you're staying, empty it out a little bit with stuff that you don't need to bring around with you for the day. Zip this puppy up, put it into 26-liter mode, and it has a slim profile, can kind of be used as a day pack as you're walking around. So there's really no need to bring a separate day pack. However, if you still want something even smaller, Tortuga makes the Setout packable day pack as well, which is a really small kind of ripstop nylon bag. Be sure to take a look at our review on that as well if you'd like to entertain taking even a smaller bag with you on a trip. The harness system is pretty much the same as we'd see in the larger version of the Setout, so not a lot new here. Still a great system. So starting with the straps here, there is an injected molded foam that's thicker on the top here and thinner on the bottom, which helps with carry. We've got this sternum strap here that is removable if you don't want to use it. However, it's just, it works really well as a sternum strap if you like to use that. And then you've got these elastic keepers on the bottom here, which help with that strap management. You don't have a bunch of extra dangling stuff going on down here. And these straps are removable via metal buckle on the bottom of the pack. So it's easy just to pull these off, hide away the entire strap system, then you can kind of carry it in a briefcase mode. Another thing to note on that briefcase mode is that it's really nice and the weight is kind of anchored more so in the center of the pack than what we've seen with the Tortuga Setout, the ordinary one. So you can definitely, especially when it's in compressed mode, carry this around and it kind of sits straight against the side of your body versus having kind of a weird angle to it due to this handle being off center. One of the things that we noticed with the larger Tortuga Setout is that these clips should be facing the outside. So we accidentally faced them on the inside, and one thing that we noticed is that these straps just kind of came off, like literally when we were trying and testing and putting the backpack on. So a little Tortuga pro tip for you, make sure these clips are on the outside. And on the harness system, we've got this mesh covered back panel here. This actually does a really great job with ventilation. Some of the best kind of design that we've seen here for a pack in this class for dealing with that back sweat. I mean, back sweat is, pretty much unavoidable with backpacks. However, with this here, you do get some ventilation between the mesh and between this padding being super dense and keeping the bag a little bit further off of your back. All right, and moving on to one of the cons of this harness system, the hip belt provided is the same that they provide with the larger Setout pack, which is pretty decent for that pack. We felt it was a little big. However, for a pack of this size, this just feels totally like overkill. It's a pretty decent hip belt. You've got these 3D pockets here where you can just fit a bunch of items into. However, it just looks kind of silly and way too bulky on a pack of this size, in our opinion. All right, moving on to the interior of the pack. Let's start with this front quick access pocket here. YKK number 5 racket coil zipper, super durable zipper. This thing goes down about 7 inches, perfect for quick grabs, anything that you just want to keep top of mind and easily accessible in this pack. Then the laptop compartment opens right up here on the back as well. So that's going to be pretty nice for a laptop and a tablet. So you've got a separate tablet sleeve and then a laptop sleeve that's padded and also has a false bottom. And what the false bottom means is that your laptop basically stops about right here on the pack. So that's really nice because when you drop this, if you do drop this, your laptop isn't just gonna slam against the ground. There's gonna be kind of that additional buffer and space here where the laptop ends to kind of further protect that laptop. So love when companies do this. Definitely a really well thought out feature from Tortuga. And it's very fitting that inside that laptop compartment on your terms is printed, which is kind of Tortuga's movement around working remotely and empowering the individual to work kind of whenever they like, anywhere in the world. So good reminder there as you're pulling out your laptop to work remotely. One last thing in this laptop compartment, we wish that there was some weather resistant or some AquaGuard YKK zippers used just for some additional moisture protection for your tech. Again, we usually recommend putting your laptop in a separate padded laptop sleeve as well, just for some additional protection. The front pocket opens up in a horseshoe fashion, revealing a lay flat organization system. We really like how Tortuga thought this out, from the ripstop liner pockets to the mesh pocket to the 3 slots for pens, pencils, stylus, and then a larger flat pocket to put items, and of course a zippered pocket that's perfect for sunglasses, as well as a clip for keys, tying it all together. However, one thing to note with this compartment is that it's hard to utilize the space below, especially if you're utilizing the organization systems. All right, so moving on to the main event, the main compartment of this pack, we have to unbuckle these front 2 compartments here to access. So this thing basically opens up exactly like a suitcase, just like the Setout. On the interior of this pack, there's a nice ripstop liner going on here, as well as a pretty giant compression buckle here as well. So you can put loose clothing in there. We'd recommend using packing cubes. Of course, Tortuga sells some of their own, but any packing cubes will really do. You don't have to go out of your way to get the Tortuga ones if you do have some lying around. But this is gonna be good to kind of further compress that stuff down. We recommend putting heavier stuff towards the back here. It's closer to your back. It's gonna pull down less on the back. And then this top compartment here, which is basically just a giant mesh zipper in that compartment. And it's in compressed mode right now. So when it is, this is good for flatter items, maybe like socks, underwear, little things on top. But again, the magic of the divide aspect of this pack is that when you unzip that part, you basically got 2 equally sized compartments on each side to organize and pack your things. At the time of this review, we've been testing the Tortuga Setout Divide for about 2 solid weeks between Minneapolis and Detroit. We tested the original Setout for about 3 months, from Minneapolis to Detroit to LA to Palm Springs, even to New York City, and we really wanted to put that one through the ringer. We feel that the Setout Divide will basically follow the same path. So some slight, very tiny, minor aesthetic blemishes that only we really notice just because we look so hard. But other than that, we've had some really good luck with the larger Setout. The Setout Divide is definitely on the same path. So to wrap this thing up with some pros and cons, this pack is very versatile. Going from 34 liters to 26 makes a big difference from day pack to travel pack. The hideable water pocket is slickly designed and well considered. The harness system is nicely designed with a great opportunity for some additional airflow on your back. Moving on to some of the cons, the hip belt seems a little too bulky for this small of a pack. And you need to know which way to buckle these straps for them to not fall off. And we wish more weather resistant zippers were used throughout the pack to add a little bit of peace of mind. Overall, the Tortuga Setout Divide is everything the Tortuga Homebase should have been and more. We love the tighter design when compared to the larger Setout, and find that the expandable functionality is really well put together, making it a versatile, larger 34-liter pack that you can also get away with as a 26-liter day pack when you reach your destination. Each new release from Tortuga is getting better and better, and you can't go wrong with this pack. Thanks for taking a look at our review on the Tortuga Setout Divide. We know that choosing a travel backpack can be hard. That's why I made a 4-part video series on how to do just that. So be sure to check that out if you're trying to decide which backpack to get. Thanks for taking a look at this video. We'll see you in the next one.